How are you doing? I'm doing well. Welcome back to another episode of the Beer Knits podcast, where we talk all things knitting and beer. If you have a tasty beer to drink while I'm talking about yarn, then go ahead and crack it open. I will be drinking a bit of a cliche beer for this time of year. Those of you who are into beer have probably had this and heard of it. It's the Imperial Pumking by Southern Tier Brewing, and it's basically a must-have of the season. They just came out with these smaller bottles. Usually you can only get them in big ones, and you're kind of drinking like 2.5 beers just to finish off the bottle, and it's not sitting around. So they recently released a smaller bottle so that you can have just a single serving whenever you'd like. I haven't actually had it a bunch this year. I've been going through a bunch of pumpkin beers just to experiment, get out of my comfort zone a little bit. And something I'm discovering is that a lot of pumpkin beers taste either really bad or they all start to taste the same. So this is kind of just Old Faithful. It tastes like pumpkin pie. I mean, really, it just smells good. It tastes good. I'm trying to read on the website if there's anything particularly interesting about it. It's an Imperial. The ABV is 8.6%, so it's not particularly strong, but it's not light either, which is why I'm happy that they came out with a smaller bottle so that you don't have to like chug one to get rid of it and then get a little woozy. The color is really nice. You can see it's very like autumnal, and it's like this golden yellow at the bottom and gets darker toward the top. It's perfect for the season, and it smells so good. I'm gonna be drinking it out of this special, it's a Victory glass. Victory is a local brewing company in Pennsylvania. I'm sure you can get it a little bit further out than Pennsylvania. I mean, I know you can, but Victory is very popular around here just because it's fairly local. And we happened to get this glass at Longwood Gardens. I don't know if you can see the logo. A couple weeks ago, we had our 6-year wedding anniversary, and we went to Longwood Gardens because my parents got us a membership. We've gone there a couple times and we really liked it. And the cost of a membership, if you go once and eat while you're there, or if you go twice and don't do anything else, like the cost of the membership already makes up for what you pay for it. It's like less than $100 for 2 people. It's really not bad. And then you get all sorts of discounts in any of the restaurants, that type of thing. Anyway, they have a literal beer garden. Those of you who follow me on Instagram have seen all the pictures. And you can grab a drink, and they have exclusive Victory beers there that you can't get anywhere else other than Longwood Gardens. So we picked up a couple of these glasses because it was only an extra $1 to get the glass with your drink. So why not? It's a really cool glass. Look at the color of the pumpkin. I know I keep talking about it, but it's just so pretty and festive, and it's delicious. So cheers. So I have a lot to talk about because it's been a really long time since I've done a real podcast. So I have no idea how long this is going to be, but let's all just be happy that I did the Rhinebeck recap in its own video, because otherwise I'd be here for hours and nobody wants to hear me talk that long. So I guess I'll start off with finished projects. I have a lot. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but I have a decent amount since it's been so long. First things first, I joined the Oloops Harry Potter knit along for 2015. And what that is over in their Ravelry group. You can go ahead and join. You have to order one of their yarns, and then they send the yarn to you with an announcement of which house you are, what your career is going to be, yada yada yada. And then throughout October, November, and December, you knit different things and earn points. So I immediately entered detention so that I could start working on some of my works in progress that I just never finished. My goal is to really tear through them. The first thing that I finished was the topography kerchief, which is really pretty. It's from Melissa from Hey Lady Hey, I believe, and I knit it out of some really pretty variegated yarn in, let me tell you, Vivid Yarn Studio Sparkle Sock in the Luna colorway. And I just think it's super pretty. The pattern was really easy. There's just a hint of sparkle, so it's not obnoxious. The only thing I don't like is how I blocked it. So you're supposed to be able to block it so that the bottom is round and it looks like a crescent shape, and that is not what happened for me. I'm still relatively new to the whole blocking process, and so far it has all worked out for me except on this one. And like, it's not the worst thing in the world. It still looks really nice. I really love wearing it. Again, if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen it. It's just a really nice lightweight shawl, not like shawl, like a kerchief, hence the name Topography Kerchief. And it just looks really nice, especially since the weather has been fluctuating here. Like one day it'll be freezing and the next day it'll be like 80. So this is something nice that you could wear in the mornings or late mornings, early afternoons before it gets too hot, just to keep your neck warm. So I really love that. And the nice thing about it is that I ended up not using all of my yarn because I don't have a scale that measures in grams yet. I added one to my Christmas wish list, but I really didn't want a chance running out of yarn, so I kind of stopped the halfway point on my yarn a little bit earlier than I should have, so I didn't end up using all the yarn. But the point is to use an entire skein of yarn so you don't have a ton of extras. I'm kind of glad that I do have some extras though, because I can use it for another project I'm doing. But you can see the little design features. There is a close-up. It's definitely not boring and it's definitely quick, but I started it in, I don't know, late January, and then I just put it down to work on other stuff and never got to it. So I'm glad I had an excuse to kind of kick myself in the butt, earn points for my team, and finish this. I'll put that there. The next thing I finished is a birthday present for my mom. So Mom, if you're watching for whatever reason, close your eyes. I made her this pair of socks. This also counted for my Harry Potter knit along detention. And I think they are super pretty. The only thing that bothers me is, like, I'm still pretty new to socks. I really hate that there's this random stripe, but then if there wasn't this random stripe, then this would be like a humongously long purple situation. Like, I basically just have no idea what I'm doing at all times. That's how they came out. The yarn is Knit Picks Countess, which, as you can see, is a bunch of different purples, and the pattern is the Vanilla Latte sock, which is what I knit my other pair of socks. I think I showed you those on like the last real podcast I did. That I actually wore to Rhinebeck and they were super warm and I loved them. The nice thing about the Vanilla Latte socks is that they're a little more interesting than regular stockinette, so they kind of keep my interest. Self-striping socks keep my interest anyway, because it seems like you're always making progress. So overall I like them. I've actually since then switched to doing socks toe up on Magic Loop and Fish Lips Kiss heel. Ever since I did my first one, this type of heel, the mere thought of it makes me want to like lose the will to live. The Fish Lips Kiss heel is so much easier and you don't have to do all this side decreasing and all this other stuff. I don't know, I much prefer it. But anyway, my mom saw that I was making socks and she wanted a pair. So that's what I did. And I really like them. And so then that was another finished project for detention. And then the other thing I really shouldn't have worked on because I have too much other stuff going on, but I couldn't wait. Leslie Ann Robinson designed this hat called the Pop Fizzle, and I saw it on Instagram and she was selling it for like 50% off for the first couple days, and so I couldn't resist. I knew if I didn't knit it right away I would eventually. It's all brioche, so I was scared to death. The only other thing that I had done brioche on in the past was my exploration station, and that went pretty well, all things considered. So of course I decided to up my game to something that looked darn near impossible, and so I made a Pop Fizzle. It's not perfect. For example, one of these leaves isn't complete right here. I don't know what I did. I'm pretty sure I just did an increase somewhere where I should have increased for the leaf. And there was somewhere else where I dropped a stitch and there was a big hole in it, but I sewed it up and you can't really tell. overall, I think it came out wonderful. I really, really, really like it. The pattern calls for DK weight or fingering weight or something light so you can like double it up, but I used 2 worsteds and it picks chroma, one in black and one in lollipop, which is the rainbow. And I did have a false start because I read the pattern wrong, so I had to rip everything out and start it again. Getting it going is actually pretty easy because it's regular 2-color brioche. But then after that, it gets a little more complicated. I wouldn't make it a beginner project for yourself, only because there are brioche increases and decreases. But overall, I'm really happy with it, especially since I kind of had no idea what was going on. I think it came out really cute, and it's so super warm because it is worsted. I went down 2 needle sizes. I think it called for a 6. I went down to a 4 so that it wasn't ginormous with the worsted weight yarn. I want to say it's been a while since I made this, and by a while I mean like 2 weeks. So I don't remember, but I think the yarn was kind of nightmarish to work with. It does have a bit of a halo to it, which I guess I don't really mind, but it's like almost way too fuzzy. And I kind of think it's supposed to be that way, which it would be fine if it wasn't for a hat where the design needs to pop, which right now it does, but I'm afraid that like with wearing it in the winter time and with it getting wet in the snow and all that other stuff, that it might not pop as much, but we'll see. I'm still really happy with it, so I don't care. It's just, I'm concerned. Then I have been working on orders out the wazoo. I'm not going to show you all of them just because it's all stuff you've seen like a million times, but one is my headband with the flower. It was requested that the flower be sewn on instead of detachable, so I made that. This is, I think it's Vanna's Choice. The color is Oatmeal, which is actually really pretty. It's kind of like tweedy and it looks very natural. So there's that. And then a purple Ziggy beanie. Again, links to all these patterns will be in the show notes, which you'll be able to access at a link below. So this is a purple Ziggy beanie that a friend of mine ordered for a relative for Christmas who loves purple. So I used a light purple to separate all the colors. Then there's like a whole bunch of different shades of purple that I had in my stash. It could probably be blocked to make it a little bit bigger, but hey, whatever. And then she also ordered this one, which I forget what it's called right now. I still have to sew on 2 buttons. There are 2 buttons that get sewn on the side, and it's really cute. I've made this a couple times, and I keep saying I'm going to change the way this works because it makes the hat like super tight, at least in my gauge. I mean, like it fits and it will stretch out after a lot of wear, but still it almost seems like impossible to get on. But it is a really pretty hat, and I think she'll like it. So I have to list all those things in my shop and get them shipped out. And I think that is all I have that is done. So now we will move on to works in progress. All right, again, I have no idea where to start, so I'm just gonna go with what's on top. The first thing I have, has yarn attached to it, is I had delusions of grandeur and decided to join the club of making a mitered square sock blanket. So this is the yarn that you saw I used in the topography kerchief, and then a bunch of the Knit Picks yarn that I've been using for socks, and this is another one, a pair of socks that I made for my Rose City rollers. I'm pretty sure I showed those to you as well. It was Premier, like woolless socks, something or other in Vegas Lights, which is why it's obnoxious. And then I made another one of these. The nice thing about the Knit Picks Felici yarns is that because of the stripes, you can reuse them on this blanket multiple times and not necessarily encounter the same striping. So Erin, Gimme Yarn 418, and I were able to swap yarns. I gave her a lot of these left over, and because of the striping, she'll be able to pick different pieces and get different colors, or get one that's like pretty much the same color. There is a stripe on this, but the color change is so subtle you can barely see it. Mine's a little different than everyone else's because I'm doing like a diamond shaped. I think Sarah Hepworth's is a diamond shape too. Basically, I've made like no progress on this recently, but it is started because I'm insane. And then I've just been storing this. This is supposed to be a like sock wedge bag, and I don't know if I'm crazy or what, but my sock yarn does not fit in here. So I've been storing it in here for the time being. I mean, it's a really cute bag, so it's coming in handy. Then for the O-Loops Harry Potter knit along, we had to do something that represented our house for October. So I'm in Gryffindor. So that means that we could do a pattern that represented Gryffindor, or we could use yarn that represented or had our house colors in it. But something that I've been dying to make for a really long time were Hermione's, I'm sorry, I'm like all tangled up here, were Hermione's everyday socks, because they just looked really pretty and cozy and a little more difficult than a plain sock, which they really aren't at all, guys. Don't let it intimidate you if you're like me. So far I finished one. I still have to weave in the ends from where I Kitchener stitched. I altered the pattern only enough to do a fish lips kiss heel, which again isn't perfect. I totally screwed it up somewhere, but you really can't tell. And the pattern is so super easy. The yarn is Knit Picks, I want to say Hawthorne? Or no, it's Knit Picks Stroll hand painted in the colorway Summer Blossoms Tonal, which is really gorgeous. It's pink, but there's like little hints of orange in some of the stripes. It's beautiful. And I really love the way that the patterning comes out. It looks really complicated, but it's really just knit and purl stitches. That's it. There's no crazy work going on here. And then I did a standard round toe. And this I made on DPNs. The second one that I'm almost done with, I made most of it on DPNs, but then since I'm flying to Vegas for work next week, I wanted to buy circular needles because I find myself preferring the magic loop method of making socks. I wanted to buy a pair of those so I could work on some socks on the plane. So they came in the mail yesterday. They were like $5 from Knit Picks. US size ones, 40 inches. So last night I switched over my socks to the Cirques, and I definitely much prefer working on them now that I have it. So I'm really not far from starting the toe, and then I'll finish the toe and bind it off or Kitchener stitch it off. Again, I screwed up the heel, but whatever. And then I'll take pictures and have the challenge completed and earn, I think it's 50 points for Gryffindor. So those have been really fun. This is how much I have left. So you do get quite a bit in that hank that it came in. I cast that on October 1st, so that'll have taken me about 3 weeks to finish in between all my other projects. Then I started working on, before this all happened, I started working on toe-up socks with it. It's called Just Another Plain Vanilla Sock by Sarah Stevens of O-Loops. And these I did in Knit Picks teacup, Knit Picks Fleechy teacup, on carbons, US size 1 circular needles. Totally did the fish lips kiss heel fine on these. I think the reason that I screwed them up on the Hermione's Everyday Socks is because they were on DPNs and I couldn't get the corners tight enough to not get a hole in them. Whereas on the circulars, you can really pull it tight because of the cord and not have any problems at all. So that one came out perfect, and that was this is the first one I ever did, and it fits wonderfully. I tried it on and I was amazed at how well it fit. So I just pretty much followed her pattern exactly. I just changed the heel to a Fish Lips Kiss heel. And I want to use the entire, well, I wanted to use the entire ball of this, but I think I'm going to save some at the end so I can add it to my, have one for me to add to my sock blanket and then send Erin what's left of the other ball to put in her sock blanket. So I'll probably stop when this is about the same size on both sides, which I'm coming pretty close there. So I'll just add some ribbing and call it a day, really. Yeah, so since these are on my carbons, I could have finished these and taken them on the plane with me, but I was really concerned. I haven't ever had a problem with TSA and knitting needles, but you never know. Sometimes they've been jerks to me about like the dumbest crap. So I decided to get the $5 ones, so if they did decide to throw them away, they were only $5 instead of $18 plus shipping from Jimmy Bean's Wool. But, okay, so these are $18. Totally worth it. Anytime I've gotten carbons, I haven't regretted it. I know that they're a lot of money, but they are so amazing to work with. I much prefer them to the Knit Picks ones because the Knit Picks ones are almost so slippery that, and I knit so tight that I have like stitches dropping off my needles all the time. But these, you know, they have the slippy points, but then this part grabs and they're so light. Oh my God, I love them. But yeah, so that's that. Clearly, for someone who said that I had no desire to knit socks ever, I have been bitten by the bug and I can't stop. They're just everywhere, and I can't wait to be knitting them on the plane and probably have people staring at me like I'm insane. That's fine. The last whip I have is my Anne's sweater that I didn't finish for Rhinebeck, but that's fine. I got this far along with it. Basically I'm at the bottom and I just have to start doing the ribbing across the bottom. There might be like 2 to 3 inches of length still to go with that ribbing. This is the back so you can see the raglan. Honestly, I do think it's really pretty and I can't wait to wear it. It fits perfectly. I've tried it on. It will stretch because it's super wash. The yarn I'm using, I really should have prepared for this, but I knew if I did, I would never actually get to recording. It's Cascade Yarns Longwood Sport, super wash, so it's going to grow. I actually made it, I think it's a size smaller than I am because I knew it was going to grow. And already it fits me perfectly, so I think we'll be okay. But yeah, there's the back. That's how I'm gonna, you can tell it's been a while since I worked on it because it's just one big fat wrinkly mess right now. So I think when I'm done with the border on the bottom, I might do the sleeves before I pick up for the border here, but I haven't really decided yet because I think doing the sleeves with all the weight of the whole sweater on it isn't going to be... I learned to do that while watching a podcast after I had finished this, and I think it's genius. Like when you get to here, actually stop knitting and then pick up the sleeve and knit so that your sweater doesn't weigh 1,000,000 pounds and you're trying to pick it up and knit the sleeves. Wish I had heard that earlier, but now I might change my mind. The pattern is from Green Gables Knits. If any of you are Bakery Bears patrons, then you saw my article about it in their latest newsletter that they sent out in August. And I believe there's another one coming up at the beginning of November. So if you're not a patron, you should definitely go over there and check it out and join so that you can see everybody's articles in the newsletter, including mine, of course. And it's a really interesting newsletter. Kay puts in like some baking things. They talk about places that they're traveling to. They have product reviews, which is what I did, and then like some other little like featured shops and things. It's a cute little newsletter. So that's it for whips, and let's get on to stash enhancement because let's face it, that'll take like 30 minutes. So I will just say, before I bought all this stuff, I put myself on a spending freeze and said, I am not buying any more yarn. You'll see how that worked out. It all started really when I heard about the Oloop's Harry Potter Knit Along, and which so sadly required me to buy yarn to join. So I did get up at 3 o'clock in the morning one night so I could get a hold of some of the yarn, and I picked out Nocturne Alley. And isn't that beautiful? It is DK 115 Superwash 100% Merino 250 yards. And I love it. So I think I'm going to use it. They haven't announced, I don't think they have. I'll have to double check today. They haven't announced the November project, although now they may have. So I'm going to see if I can incorporate this in that, because you do get extra points if you use O-Loops yarn. And I really can't wait to use it. It is so soft and beautifully dyed, gorgeous colors, slightly tonal. Can't go wrong with it. Highly recommend them if you haven't used their yarn before. This stuff can come after I've shown you the yarn. This is yarn that Erin gave me at Rhinebeck. It is Cascade Yarns, 220 yards. The color is number 15. I love when they do that. It's Casablanca, so it's wool, silk, and mohair. And she said that it came with a pattern for Zuzu's petals, which I do have. So I think I'm going to actually use this yarn to make that, because it is so pretty. Like, look at that. She's right. I'm not afraid of color. If you watched her latest podcast, well, one of her latest ones where she talks about the little gift bags that she made up, she said that I'm not afraid of color, and that is so that is so true. Which is why I have so much yarn, because I'm not afraid of anything. So I just like pick it up and say, this is mine now. So this might have to get cast on before I go on the plane, so that I can work on either this or socks. For the socks, I saw Sarah Hepworth knitting with this, and I couldn't get it out of my mind. I saw it like 2 months ago, and I couldn't get it out of my head. I kept going online and looking at it and debating if I was going to get it. And then finally I was like, clearly I have not actually done my spending freeze, so this isn't a problem. But it's Regia in the Arnie and Carlos colors, and this one is Twilight something something. I forget what the actual color is, but yeah, it's Twilight something, or it might just be Twilight. In any event, it does not say it here, but it'll tell you online. It looks like this, kind of, when it's knit up. It's gorgeous. I got 2 balls of it, so I could use 1 per sock. I'm going to possibly experiment with doing 2 at a time toe up with these. And so that's perfect that I have the 2 balls for it, because I really didn't feel like separating it on my own, especially since my scale isn't accurate. So I'm probably going to cast these on before the plane so that I can work on these, and then possibly the Zuzu's petals. Kind of depends on my mood, I guess. Then, I got this yarn in my Yarn Crush unboxing. You can check out the video for that. I'll link it in the show notes. It's True North Strong Sock, and it does feel like it's going to make a really nice sturdy sock. 80% superwash BFL, 20% nylon, 370 meters. It's beautiful, it's tonal, and it has little hints of green in it. It's gorgeous, and the pattern that it came with was like a peacock type pattern, so that'll be perfect for that. You can check out the video for the full unboxing. Next, I have this yarn from Woolen Vine Yarns. It's her Blitz Base in Octopus Garden, so it's sparkly. Anytime I get yarn from her, I pretty much gravitate directly toward the sparkly, because that's how I roll. And I just thought that, like, if I could be yarn, this is what I would be. It just has Jen written all over it. So I got that. I looked for her at Rhinebeck and didn't see her, because I wanted to tell her that she has like half my bank account now in hers. But I just think it's gorgeous. And if you haven't tried any of her yarns yet, you definitely should. I mean, she just has the most beautiful colorways. And I say that about every indie dyer, because it's all true. Like, these people have just beautiful color sense. So yeah, I think that's so pretty. I don't know what I'm going to make out of that yet, because I could use it for socks, but I feel like it's too pretty to use for socks. So I have to look up some patterns. Then I really wanted to make myself a pair of Christmas socks that I could wear on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So I ordered this from Sun Soaked Yarns, and it's really cute. She sends like these little stitch markers with them, so that was really nice of her. This is Christmas Ribbon Candy in Sparkle Fingering. It's 75/25 wool nylon stellina, 430 yards. And she's on Etsy as Sun Soaked Yarn. And the sparkle is very subtle, which I kind of like. And I just like the colors in this because there's a hint of pink, which if you're watching any of like the modern Christmas commercials, like for Target or anything, they are working in like pinks and grays into the Christmas colors. So I thought that this was still traditional with like a hint of some sassy pizzazz. I don't know. But that's pretty. So those will be Christmas socks for me. And then Juliana's Fiber had her new Halloween base. And I loved this one because, again, I had delusions that I was going to knit like 5 pairs of socks in first October. So I wanted her Halloween self-striping. The color is Creature of the Night in her Lucid Dream sock yarn. It's 80% superwash merino wool, 20% nylon, 420 yards. And I just thought it was pretty because it is Halloween-y. It actually reminds me of Corpse Bride. Like if you've watched Corpse Bride before, these are like the colors that you'll see in that movie. And I liked it because it wasn't so like in your face Halloween, but it kind of had like that creepy Corpse Bride feel to it. So I loved that. She did a shop update a couple months ago, so I bought that when she brought it out. And finally, for the yarn I acquired, Desert Vista Dye Works was having a sale in their shop, and of course I got nothing that was actually on sale. I got this Peter Max inspired colorway in their self-striping. It's Viso, 75% superwash merino wool, 25% nylon, 462 yards, and I think it's beautiful. And as someone who has a degree in graphic design and art, I thought it was appropriate that I should get a Peter Max colorway. Like, look at all those beautiful colors. I can't wait to make some socks out of that, let me tell you. But I've been saving them for the right pattern. So I'll keep looking and I'll find something. Then I have a couple other little things that I got to show you. So Erin got me that yarn. Terry got me these adorable little stitch markers. And I'm in love with them. I'm using them for everything right now when I start knitting. Like all those things that I've been knitting for orders, I've been using these stitch markers with. And they're all different colors, and they're all these adorable like little girls with like flowers in their hair and kimonos. And I just think they're so pretty. And they're not your standard stitch markers. Like they're not just like little charms. They're actually like really cute little designs. So I've been obsessed with these and I carry them with me now wherever I go. So thank you for that, Terry. I think they're so cute. Then something else I got, I can't remember if I showed this in my last one or not, but I got a DPN holder from Slip Stitch Studios. So it's kind of hilarious that I'm not going to be using DPNs to make socks anymore unless like it's the end of the world and all circular needles have been destroyed by fire. But I've been keeping my DPNs in there. You can use it for circular needle projects too. It's not that big of a deal. And then there's like this little pocket on the side where I've been keeping this little badge that Knit Crate gave me in one of their most recent ones that has the Kitchener stitch pattern on it, so I can always keep that handy. So that goes in there. And this has been coming everywhere with me too. I think it's adorable. And finally, the biggest thing that I bought for myself using Knit Crate credits was I got myself a set of the Knitter's Pride marbles, interchangeable needles, and I freaking love them. Like, I really dislike plastic acrylic needles, but these are really nice. The only thing that I'm worried about is because I do have such a tight gauge that I might snap one in half. But I mean, like, so far so good. I used these pink ones to make my pop fizzle, and they worked like totally fine. They do bend, which is actually really nice if you have a tight gauge. They'll bend before they break, so it's not like wooden needles where they'll just snap in half. And then here are all the different cords. I have had 0 problems with the cords twisting off. So that's been wonderful. It helps that I finally learned how to use the key correctly. I'm starting to think that a lot of the reason people don't like interchangeable needles is because none of us know how to use the key. And I finally learned how to use the key, and now everything is great. And they do come in this little case, and they're pretty to look at. I mean, if you're gonna buy them, definitely use them, but then put them on display because they're so pretty. So I got those out of the Knit Crate store, and I only paid like 25 bucks for them because I had a lot of points built up in their loyalty program. So I think that might be everything. I'm recording this on Friday, October 23rd, maybe that's the date. I'm not sure when I'll be posting this. It'll probably be like before the weekend's over, but I wanted to record it today because I took a mental health day from work. As I've mentioned, I'm going to Vegas next week. I go to Vegas every year at this time for trade shows that we do for work. Maybe Cynthia, she will be there because I know that she sometimes goes to these shows. And I figured I would record before I go away, and then it's the Christmas season and I don't have time to do anything. Like I mentioned, my husband and I went to Longwood Gardens, so I'll probably, if I can, insert some pictures here at the end so you can check it out in like Bakery Bear's favorite places to knit style, because I did whip out my knitting at one point. Our whole goal was just to go and relax, so we would find these little places where nobody was and just sit down, and he would listen to music and I would pick up my knitting. And this one guy walked by and I was knitting socks on DPNs, and he was like, he turned to his wife and he's like, "You have problems with 2 needles. She's got like 5. So that was funny. So yeah, I'll put maybe some pictures here. You can enjoy it if you want. If not, you can skip over it, whatever. Rhinebeck was amazing. If you haven't seen my video on that, then check it out. It'll be in the show notes. Erin has a video out. 2 or 3 different videos actually. She has one where we are at Rhinebeck. She has one where she and Terry are going over their hauls. I think Zoe is going to be coming out with one as well, 24 karat crochet. So keep your eyes out for those. The ones that are out now I'll link below, and then when Zoe comes out with hers I'll link too. And if Terry posts another one, then he'll go in there too, whatever. And yeah, I think that's it. Now I have to go wash a sink full of dishes because I took the day off and I'm on house duty. Isn't it fun? So that's that, and I hope you all are having a great week. If I'm not back before I go to Vegas, then you can assume that I've gone totally nuts. UPS already lost one of the cases that I shipped out to the show, destroyed everything. They said it fell out of a truck. I can only imagine that it must have fallen out of the truck, caught on fire, got hit by another Mack truck, and blown into a river, because that's the only reason that any of that stuff would be unrecoverable, because they were all boxed individually. I don't like UPS right now. But that is all. So yeah, if you don't hear from me, I've probably lost my mind. Today is my mental health day to try and recover from all that crap before I have to go and set up the show. But overall, it's always a good time when I go out there. So in some ways, I am really looking forward to it. And maybe I will visit a yarn store out there. We'll see. I think there's one not far from the strip. So I will talk to you all soon. Make sure to follow me on Instagram because I post everything that I'm working on. And then you can watch me dying in Las Vegas, you know, all the fun stuff. And I will hopefully see you guys soon. Have a great weekend. Bye.